My name is Theodore Johnson. I'm more of an impatient person, and I like to eat my food quickly. I enjoyed burgers and sandwiches, which I can just stuff in. I've always been a fan of BLT. That day happened to be a day off for the surgical clinic I run. I'd spent the late morning at my favorite spot, a diner near the station known for its chicken dishes. I had a drink and got into a good mood. For a finishing touch, I had a chicken and egg sandwich that served as both my breakfast and lunch. My clinic is located in a regional city with a population of just under 100,000. Near the station, there is a decent amount of commercial facilities. In the middle of the shopping street extending from the station, there's the diner, and a few doors down, my clinic. If you go through the shopping street, residential areas flank both sides, and straight ahead leads to a low-lying mountain dotted with farms. My family home is also located on that mountain and used to produce specialty summer oranges. My parents are both gone. They passed away in their late 80s, so they must have had a fulfilled life. Now that I'm approaching 60, I live alone in the house my parents left behind. I was once married. However, we parted ways after 7 years of marriage. It was a common issue of personality clashes. Ever since, I thought living alone and doing as I like suited me better than married life. Anyway, that day, shortly after I started up the mountain slope where my house was located, feeling good after having had a few drinks and a full belly, I heard a young woman scream. Looking up the slope, I saw summer oranges rolling down. I picked up one with my left hand, stopped the next one with my right foot, and another with my left foot. The fourth one rolled between my legs. For the fifth one, I reflexively tossed the grilled chicken I had brought back for my evening drink and caught it with my right hand. I went up the slope holding those oranges to where the young woman was. Upon reaching her, she turned out to be a girl in her early 20s with short hair and an innocent look on her face. "Ouch, I think I might have sprained my ankle," she said. She was wearing sporty white leggings and was sitting down, rubbing her ankle. "Here, let me see," I said, handing her the oranges I was holding and placing my hand on her ankle. "Ouch there," she exclaimed. It was a mild sprain for sure. Still, I couldn't just leave her there, so I gave her a shoulder to lean on and walked her down the slope, taking her to my clinic. I put a patch on her, tightly wrapped her ankle in a bandage, and gave her some first aid. "Come back tomorrow. I'll examine you properly then," I said. It was my day off, and I had a few drinks in me. I'm sure it wasn't anything serious, but I told the girl to come back tomorrow. "It's all my mom's fault," she said. "When you're talking to others, call her mother, not my mom." "Oh, yes, sir," she replied, sticking out her tongue cheekily. That day, she'd been sent by her mom to the unmanned fruit stand at the top of the hill to buy some summer oranges. As she was coming down the hill with the oranges in a paper bag, the handle of the bag suddenly broke, and the oranges rolled out. It's my mom. I mean, my mom keeps reusing department store bags because she wants to be eco-friendly. The handle must have been about to break off. Her mom must have been quite frugal. "I almost dropped my smartphone too," she added. "Were you walking while messing with your smartphone?" I asked. "Yeah," she said. I scolded her, telling her that was far worse. Staring down at a smartphone for long periods can strain your neck and lead to stiff shoulders and headaches. That's a condition called text neck. It's dangerous, so stop using your smartphone while walking. As I told her, she gave me another drawn-out "yes, sir" in reply. Her house seemed to be just ahead in the residential area, within walking distance from my clinic. But I felt sorry for her having to walk on that foot, so I suggested she take a taxi. "You should get there within base fare. Do you have money for that?" I asked. "I'm fine. I have it," she replied. Nodding, I gave her a crutch as I walked her to the clinic entrance. She kept turning back to smile brightly at me. As I was about to go back inside, I noticed the part-time job notice I had taped to the entrance door was starting to peel off. It had been up for over a month now. As I fixed the notice, I wondered if I should use online shop postings. Just as I was thinking about this, I found she had left behind her oranges. I'll give them to her tomorrow, I thought. The next day, a woman came to the clinic with a department store paper bag. She had the same face as the girl from yesterday. I thought they might be sisters. Even so, you were so kind to help my daughter yesterday when she was in trouble. It was her mother. She bowed her head and handed the paper bag to me again. I caught a glimpse of what was inside. A bottle of imported whiskey. Pretty pricey stuff. "Doctor, please take this," the girl pleaded, clasping her hands in front of her face as if in prayer. I thought this is going just as planned. Then, clearing my throat, I feinted annoyance as I accepted the paper bag containing a bottle of whiskey. Whiskey. It's been a while. One more thing to look forward to tonight. The mother, even as I was about to start examining, remained rooted to the spot. I told her to wait in the waiting room. This isn't kindergarten. You don't need to babysit. Yes, you're right. I am in the way, aren't I? Her acknowledgement that she was in the way gave me pause, but I handed her the forgotten orange, and she took it to the waiting room. The x-rays confirmed that there was nothing wrong with the girl's leg. It would surely be fully healed in 2 or 3 days. Within 10 minutes of the treatment ending, the mother and daughter returned. "Doctor, we wanted to talk to you about the part-time job notice you posted out front." The mother, her demeanor now entirely different, spoke briskly, her eyes shining as she looked at me. "Would you be able to do it?" As I spoke, I couldn't help staring at the mother's face, still convinced they must be sisters. "No, my daughter." "Would she be suitable for the job? Or this one here beside her?" "Mother," the girl stuck out her tongue and gave a little bow. "Listen, if that's the case, you should speak for yourself. You're not a child anymore," I scolded the girl, warning the mother not to spoil her too much. That said, I did need a part-time worker. It's reception work, but it's not that difficult once you get used to it. So I decided to hire the girl. The girl, whom I'll call Emma, began her part-time receptionist job 3 times a week. Once her foot healed, she was usually quite dependent on her mother when they were together. But when alone, she showed a responsible side and quickly learned the job. Moreover, her vibrant and cheerful smile was well received by both the staff and the patients. However, this also brought some trouble for me. Doctor, let's walk together." Emma would always wait for my work to finish, and as soon as I left the clinic, she would dart over, cross her arm with mine, and then, resting her head on my shoulder, she would start skipping along. "That's enough. Stop that. Why, you're too young to be so familiar with men." "Doctor, you're just being shy." I was at a loss. I had taken in quite a naughty girl. A month or so had passed since Emma started her part-time job at my place when one day my daughter, always grateful for your help, Emma's mother Mary, visited the clinic with a smile as radiant as Emma's. Then she offered a box of sweets, saying, "This is for all of you." I thanked her and accepted it. Then she handed me a paper bag from a department store, saying, "And this is for you." "Doctor," Mary looked down shyly. Somehow, her behavior made my heart skip a beat. This is not a gift from a patient, so it should be okay, right? Oh well, thank you. When I looked into the bag, there was a bottle of high-end whiskey. "Doctor, you do like your drink, don't you?" "I'm not averse to it, but the last time I brought you one, you looked somewhat grim, yet the corners of your lips were raised. You looked quite pleased." Mary stuck out her tongue playfully. Even her gesture resembled her daughter Emma. On my next day off, I had lunch at my usual diner, and for my final meal, I ordered my favorite grilled chicken. Oh, wait a second. I hastily withdrew my order. "I'm not in the mood for chicken today," I told the owner of the diner. "So, how about fried rice?" No, that's not it either. I've decided on risotto." On my way home, As I began to climb up the hill, a summer orange came rolling down from above. I picked it up and looked up the hill. Emma was there, smiling mischievously. Emma waved her hand and started running down the hill towards me. "Don't fall. Be careful." When she got to where I was, she stopped, placed her hands on her knees, and caught her breath. There was a faint sweet scent coming from her. "Doctor, had you been drinking?" I nodded. "What did you eat?" "Well, some side dishes, and for the last dish, risotto." Emma asked what I would do for dinner. I told her I hadn't decided yet. "In that case, come over to my place. Let's eat together." Without waiting for my response, Emma took out her phone and called her mother. "Mary, it's settled. Doctor, my mom also wants to treat you to dinner." Call her mother, not my mom. There was still some time left until dinner. I decided to part ways with Emma and headed home. We agreed to meet in front of the clinic at 5:00 p.m. When I arrived at the clinic at 5:00, Emma was already there, passing the time on her smartphone, waiting for me. "You should limit your time on that smartphone." Emma shrugged and stuck her tongue out at me cheekily. As we began walking towards her house, she, as usual, slid her arm through mine. I had given up on any futile resistance. "Is your father around?" She replied plainly that she doesn't have a father. "My mom, she's a single mother, so my father was never in the picture." I regretted asking, sensing I might have asked something I shouldn't have. "My mother works the cash register at a large supermarket across the train station," Emma continued, her chest swelling with pride. She boasted about how her mother, Mary, was faster and more accurate at the register than any other employee. Not only that, she treated every product with the utmost care. There was no doubt that for Emma, Mary was a mother to be proud of. The place where Emma and Mary lived was an old 2-bedroom apartment that had seen many years pass by. "I hope it's okay to drop by so suddenly tonight," I began. "Oh no, it's our pleasure. After all, it was Emma who insisted on bringing you over, wasn't it?" As Mary and I exchanged greetings at the entrance, Emma pushed me from behind into the house. On the modest-sized dining table, there was an array of dishes that Mary had apparently prepared for dinner: beef and potato stew, Cobb salad, ribeye steak, and grilled salmon. The food was simple, but it had that classic, comforting taste of home. As Emma guided me to my seat at the table, Mary brought out a can of beer from the refrigerator. "Oh dear, it's still lukewarm, isn't it?" Emma jumped in. "That's what I told you to pick up from the convenience store on the way here." "But buying it from the supermarket where I work is cheaper since I get a staff discount," Mary replied. Soon enough, a playful argument broke out between mother and daughter. For some reason, I ended up playing the mediator. All right, let's settle down. Whether it's cold or lukewarm, beer is still beer. It's perfectly fine." And so, Emma, Mary, and I shared a meal around the dining table. "I don't think we've ever had dinner with a man at home like this, have we?" Mary said, amused. "But dear, we've had dinner with Tom before, remember?" Mary reminded her. "That was when we were kids. He was just a boy, not a man," Emma replied, then turned to me and explained that Tom was just an old childhood friend from kindergarten. "Excuse me, I need to use the restroom," Emma said. "You don't need to announce that." Mary reprimanded her hastily and then turned to me, bowing her head. Emma stuck her tongue out at me before scampering off to the restroom. Mary took a sip of her beer, which she claimed she rarely drank, her cheeks turning a shade of pink. "You know, the day you helped Emma when she twisted her ankle and you scolded her," she told me all about it. "I'm sorry about that." "No, it's okay." She seemed quite happy about it. "Happy about being scolded by me?" "Yes." Mary spoke to me. She's been raising her daughter, Emma, as a single mother, working hard to prevent anyone from blaming her lack of a father. She said Emma turned out to be such a good, obedient girl. But still, as a mother, I feel like I can't scold her properly. At that moment, Emma returned from the bathroom. With a carefree air, she hugged me from behind. "Hey, did you wash your hands properly?" At 10:30 in the evening, I left, seen off by Mary and Emma. As I was climbing up the hill towards my house, I started to think. Usually, on my days off, I only thought about going to bed early to prepare for the next day. But that night, the one I spent with Mary and Emma, it felt like a waste to just go to bed. Maybe I should take a walk around before heading home. So I changed direction and strolled around the night streets, gazing at the blue moon. I thought about how I had once failed at marriage and thought I'd stay single for life. That was me. The next day, on my way home from work, I went to the supermarket where Mary works, which is located on the other side of the station. I found Mary working briskly and was drawn to her chic outline. Just as Emma bragged, Mary was a fast worker. Her energetic smile never faded, yet her eyes were serious. I felt like I could watch her forever. "Oh, doctor, I rarely come to the supermarket," I said. Once Mary made sure there were no customers behind me, she placed a "Please use the next register" sign on her counter. From then on the days when Emma had a day off from her part-time job, I would stop by Mary's supermarket after work. Mary adjusted her shift to match the time I showed up and came to meet me at the coffee shop next to the supermarket. Half a year later, Emma said to me and Mary, who were posing in front of the camera, "You two seem a bit tense, don't you?" It was at a photo studio in town. We didn't have a wedding ceremony. Instead, we decided to take a commemorative photo, our wedding photo. With the cameraman's cue, the flash went off. The photographer suggested another shot. "Hey, Emma, you should join us. Let's take a picture with the three of us." Emma nodded energetically with a smile and stepped between me and Mary. We all looked at each other, our smiles naturally breaking out. "All right, here goes." Upon the photographer's cue, we all turned our faces towards the camera at once. Our first family photo. It must have turned out beautifully. How did you like it? Your subscription to the channel encourages us to keep producing. See you in the next video. You've made a grave error. You'll lose your job. He yelled at me, "Never return to this company," and walked out of the room. I guess I'm going to get fired. I've made a substantial contribution to the business without making any serious errors, but it appears I need to start looking for a new position. But 2 days later, my phone rings out of the blue. "I'm glad you picked up, David. Could you please return to the office immediately?" The scene I observed when I got to the office. David Smith is my name. My wife and I are a family of 3 with a vibrant 8-year-old boy. I handle food orders and dispatches at a subsidiary of a large food producer. Inventory control is difficult for both retail goods and restaurant supplies. Although it's a careful task, I've completed it without making any significant mistakes. There is one problematic employee, though. "Hey, David, you were supposed to finish this report by today, right?" My supervisor, Manager John, was the one who scolded me. John, my superior, is in his 40s and younger than me, but he always gives me haughty commands. John is the son of a department head at the main food manufacturing firm. In addition, he is incredibly bad at his work, yet constantly believes he is correct. Even though he was only made department head 2 weeks ago, he seems to despise me and keeps piling on more work. "Start working on this report as soon as you're done with that. Get moving." "Yes, sir. I understand." Be proactive before your supervisor needs to inform you. You truly have no idea. John left the room after tossing a pile of papers onto my desk. I heard my coworkers whispering as I began to collect the strewn documents. I couldn't help but listen because we were in the same room. John is always so hard on David. David does careful, flawless job. Why, I wonder. However, given his age, David appears to be out of it. No title yet. Perhaps he has no interest in moving up the business ladder. Yeah, with his attitude, it seems hard for him to advance. When John yells at him, he simply grins. I sighed as I heard my coworkers laughing. Say whatever you want, then. I'm just going about my work as I see fit. Thinking that, I continued working on the tasks assigned by John. However, one day, as I was working as usual, my colleague suddenly started panicking. She was sweating and repeatedly apologizing while on the phone. I wondered what was happening, and as she hung up, she came toward me. David, what's this about? She handed me a note. It was a complaint from a major client. What's this about? We ordered 50 regular items for business use and 500 items for home use as samples, but only the 50 business items arrived. We were supposed to distribute the home items to customers at an event in 3 days. They were quite angry. That can't be right. I've never made such a mistake before, and I was sure I had checked everything this time. I couldn't understand why this was happening, and I started to panic. I handle orders for 2 types of products, those for business use and those for home use. The large packs for business and the smaller packs for home use have the same name, making them easy to confuse. It's a mistake-prone area, so I always paid extra attention, double-checking everything. But now a complaint has come in. I immediately switched gears and opened my computer to check the order form. The form showed an order for 50 items for business use. That's odd. I'm certain I ordered 500 items for home use too. I couldn't believe my eyes, and I felt a chill run through me. Then, the next moment, John's loud voice echoed throughout the room. One mistake you've made, you useless. But I'm sure I ordered 500 items for home use. Quiet. The fact is, you only ordered the items for business use. Instead of making excuses, do whatever it takes to get 500 items for home use. John pushed me back to my desk and stormed out of the room in anger. My colleagues looked unworriedly at the exchange between John and me, but none offered to help. Anyway, I had to somehow gather the items for home use. I immediately returned to my desk and started calling the branches. Sorry for the sudden call, but if you have any spare items for home use, could you send them over, please? I'm begging you. Thank you so much. I'll definitely repay this favor. 241 items left. Only 3 days until the event. Our client was participating in. Could I possibly get 500 items in time? No time to doubt. Just do whatever I can. Now, I kept making calls, addressing the situation. I'm terribly sorry. Yes, thank you very much. I kept asking them, checking for any available stock. Even if there was just one item, I drove out myself to pick it up. 71 items left. And then, the day before the event, I held the boxes filled with items tightly. Thank you. Sincerely, thank you so much for this. I'm truly grateful. Finally, I had managed to gather the 500th item. Somehow, I had prepared the amount planned for the event. I immediately went to deliver them to the client, but the person in charge looked down at me with eyes full of anger. What's going on? We've had a long relationship with your company, but we've never had such an experience. I'm sorry, but we can't trust you anymore. Our business relationship is over. The client took the products and slammed the door in my face. I slumped for a while, but then slowly made my way back to the office. I had done everything I could, but upon returning, there was John, arms crossed, looking furious, waiting for me. You made an unbelievable mistake this time. Such repeated errors affect the company's reputation. You'll be fired. Leave now. Don't ever come back to this company, he yelled and left the room. I tried to get back to my desk, head hung low. So I'm getting fired. My mistake has caused trouble for the company. I've contributed to the company without major mistakes until now, but it seems I need to find a new job. It will be hard at my age and without having advanced much in my career. What should I tell my wife and son when I get home? Filled with anxiety, I packed up my belongings after the end of the workday. I apologized to my colleagues and left. I'm sorry for the inconvenience I've caused. Thanks for your hard work. I'll be leaving now, I said with a heavy heart. With apologies, I left the office using the remaining paid leave. That's all I have to do at the company. These last 3 days have been exhausting. I rotated my neck and shoulders, hearing them crack. How should I explain this to my wife and son? Will they be disappointed or give up on me as a failure? No. They'll greet me with a smile as usual. Considering my family's nature, they probably won't blame me, but that thought somehow felt even harder to bear. Hesitantly, I walked towards home, which was just around the corner. I'm home. Welcome back, Dad. You're late. Oh, you look pale. Did something happen? As I held my son, who energetically jumped at me, I just nodded with a smile to my wife's question. Yeah, a little bit. I'll talk about it later. All right, let's have dinner once you're changed. I slowly headed to my room. My wife and son, true to my fears, welcomed me with smiles. That made it even harder to figure out what to say. Anyway, I'll talk after dinner. I braced myself and returned to the living room where my wife and son were waiting. Let's eat. Let's eat. So, what happened? You seem down, Dad. Did something happen? Their concerned voices made my heart pound, but I couldn't keep it hidden forever. Taking a deep breath, I began to speak. I'm sorry, both of you. It looks like I'll be fired from my job. Hearing my words, my wife's eyes widened in shock, speechless. But my son was the one who reacted loudly. Awesome. Then, Dad, you don't have to go to work, right? Yes, I'll be home for a while. Yeah, let's go to the amusement park then. I've been wanting to go. My son looked at me with a big grin. His unexpected reaction left me just staring back at him. Then, my wife began to laugh softly. That's a great idea. You've been so busy lately, it'll be good for you to relax. I'm happy you'll be at home with us. Their responses left me speechless, but at the same time, I felt incredibly relieved. Really? They don't blame me for being fired? I can stay at home for a while. I realized we hadn't gone on a trip since my son grew up. I had left all the childcare and housework to my wife, so maybe this time together was a good thing. I thought to myself and smiled at them. That's right, let's go to the amusement park this weekend when school's out. Yeah, you promised, Dad. I'm looking forward to it. The living room was filled with my family's happy voices. What a warm dinner table it was. I felt lucky to have such happy moments. Relieved a little, I continued my meal. But the next morning, after taking paid leave, my phone suddenly rang. It was a colleague from the company. What could it be? Did I make another mistake? Feeling a bit anxious, I answered the phone. Hello, this is David. Thank goodness, David, you're there. I'm sorry to bother you during your vacation, but can you come to the office right away? Does this mean there's a problem? I'm sorry. I can't discuss it over the phone, but please come back as soon as you can. Understood. I'll be there shortly. Urged by my colleague's rushed voice, I quickly got ready. My wife looked at me curiously. What's up? Did the office call? Yeah, they called me in. I'll go and check. I'd arrived at the office 40 minutes after the call, heading to my department. A colleague hurried over to me. David, thank goodness you're here. Please come with me quickly. Following my colleague as he hurriedly ran, I tilted my head in confusion. Why such a rush? What could have happened? Then, as we ran, my colleague began to explain the situation to me. According to him, the next morning after I was told I was fired, the CEO of the company, with a changed complexion, came to our department, visibly angry. Why is he not here? Explain this to me. Are you referring to David? We don't need someone like him. John, who was there, tried to calm the CEO, but the CEO became even angrier. What are you saying? Just call David back here. Then they contacted me. I was puzzled by my colleague's story, but I was already told I was fired. My colleague looked as confused as I was. When we arrived, the CEO and John were waiting. "Oh, David, good to have you back. But I was told that you'll be fired." The CEO looked surprised, but then relaxed and laughed heartily. "There's no way we fire you. Without you, who would manage the contacts for this company?" He showed me his computer screen, displaying the order page for our products. There, I noticed a section marked with a red warning sign. Wait, this isn't right. Since the day after I took leave, it seems no orders were placed. Well, of course you weren't here. Why wouldn't orders be placed if I'm not here? The CEO replied. Because that's a job only you can do. The CEO then handed me a note. John, can you place this order? Understood. John took the note and moved to the computer. But as he tried to enter the order, he stopped and looked puzzled. CEO, what does this say? I can't place the order unless it's in English. Hearing John's words, the CEO began to laugh heartily, slapping his belly. So, David, can you take the order from the memo John has? No way, the CEO exclaimed. If I couldn't do it, there's no way David can. John looked sullen again, reluctantly handing me the memo. As he pushed it into my hand, his glare seemed to say, "There's no way you can do it." I took the memo, sat down at the computer, and checked the order details. Then, I began to enter the information as usual. This is a food product from Germany. I'm placing the order now. Ah, is that in English? It looks like a completely different language. Next up, a product from Poland. Ah, what's this product called? I can't read it. Despite John's interruptions, I kept entering and placing orders, one after another. After entering all the products listed in the memo, I looked at the CEO. If there are any more orders, I can do them right away. Isn't it about time for our regular order with France? Yes, it is. Hey, someone bring any order requests you have. David is back, so we can get them quickly. Hearing his words, several employees gathered around, bringing order requests. David, could you handle this, please? And this one, too. We're in a rush. As I busily entered the orders, I could hear John grumbling in the background. Unbelievable. How can that incompetent David manage to place orders? That's when I realized something John didn't know about me, my extensive knowledge of other languages. In fact, I studied various languages during my student days. Being able to read and write in these languages has been incredibly useful in dealing with these countries. After entering all the requested orders, I thoroughly checked the product names and quantities for any errors. All good, no mistakes. Sending now. I felt relieved after completing the orders, but then noticed something strange. What's this? This computer was dedicated to placing orders and displayed the order history, including the last update. After completing the order process, one had to enter their employee ID, so the name of the employee who last used it was also recorded. According to the record, the last update was on the day I was told I was fired, but the last updater was listed as John's. So that's how it was. What's up, David? As everything became clear, I stood up energetically. The ordering mistake the other day wasn't my error. Isn't that right, John? What? What are you talking about? Your mistake got you fired. John retorted, his face turning red. I've made my case. You specialize in placing orders, John, and you just said that these incomprehensible languages could only be read by you. You still won't admit it. Then let me show you the proof. I quickly printed the screen and showed the printed paper to everyone present. Look here, it says the last updater was John's. Well, that is, John muttered flustered, waving his hands. But everyone's eyes were focused on the paper I was holding. The CEO took the paper from me and stared intently at John's name. After a moment, he spoke in a grave tone. It seems you are the one who should be leaving this company, John. No, this must be some mistake, John stammered, his face turning pale as he tried to make excuses. But the CEO, with a stern look, declared to him, I will be reporting this matter to your father as well. Be prepared for the appropriate disciplinary action. The president stared intently at John before leaving the scene. John let out a short cry and then collapsed weakly to the floor. Meanwhile, I was surrounded by my colleagues, all of them speaking to me at once. David, we had no idea you had such a skill. Honestly, we thought you weren't competent at your job. We're truly sorry you didn't talk much and seemed a bit odd. Sorry about that. Oh, don't apologize. You guys haven't done anything wrong to me. Besides, it looks like I'll still be able to work at this company, so let's keep up the good work together. I replied lightly to my colleagues. Seeing their relieved faces made me feel relaxed and reassured. This way, I proved I hadn't made a mistake and safely returned home. When I told my wife and son that I would be returning to work, they were overjoyed. A few days later, while I was still on paid leave, my phone rang again. It was the CEO. Sorry to bother you during your time off. Actually, one of our clients called. They insisted I pass a message to you. It's okay. What's up? Well, after the mix-up with the order, the client contacted us wondering if it really was your mistake. They remembered how diligently you'd handled our dealings in the past and suspected there might have been a misunderstanding. Oh, I see. Recalling those times, it was heartwarming to know that the client had thought so highly of our long-term relationship. The CEO continued, I always thought it couldn't have been your mistake, but never imagined John would tamper with it. I'm really sorry about what happened. After a meeting with the high-ups, we decided to fire him. It's only fair after what he did. John's father was a senior executive at the parent company, but even that couldn't save him. According to the CEO, John was now job hunting at another company, but rumors of the tampering were making it difficult. After hanging up, I took a deep breath. I could get back to work as usual. With John gone, I was ready to work even harder. Seeing my renewed spirit, my wife said with a smile, Seems like good things are happening. The next day, we went to the amusement park as promised. My family enjoyed the park, watching our son's happy face. Dad, Mom, we can reserve priority tickets here. Really? That's convenient, I said. My son explained a system that allowed us to use attractions preferentially within a designated time. Watching my son, who had grown up so much without me realizing, a warm feeling filled my heart. We enjoyed the amusement park all day. Then, the day to return to work arrived. I go now, I said, leaving the house earlier than usual. The familiar commutes seemed to shine differently to me that day. When I arrived at the office, I brushed off my suit and walked in slowly. Good morning. David. Good morning. Sorry to ask right when you arrive, but can you handle this? A colleague handed me an order for Germany. Sure, leave it to me. And so, my routine at work resumed as before. An elderly hag has no seat. Return home. My mother and I went to the corporate party. Before Catherine Simpson, a nasty employee, told my mother this, we were enjoying ourselves. Yolanda, Catherine's mother, further exacerbated the situation by acting haughtily. I was furious, but my mother was the first to speak. Catherine, could you please call your branch's top official? The Simpsons' reputation was immediately destroyed by this single sentence. Diana Krall is my name. I work for the corporation and I am 48 years old. My mother, Helen, is vivacious and has a flower store. My father went away 11 years ago. She wasn't operating a flower business from the start, of course. She was once a very involved employee of the corporation. The corporation wanted her to continue in some position even after she retired, but she decided to take a full retirement. She stated, "I want to take it easy now because it's not good for an old woman to stay on site forever." Because she loved working with flowers, she decided to create a flower business. My mother has always had a deep affection for flowers, and she said that they helped her get through difficult times when she worked. The wonderful thing about flowers is that they don't speak. They are lovely, and they don't say things that aren't required. Thus, simply gazing at them soothes my thoughts. She kept flowers on her desk at work and frequently used them to adorn the house. Since she opened her flower shop, my mother seems to love every day. On my days off, I occasionally assist at the shop as well. I'm thankful that it naturally provides us with mother-daughter connection time. It may sound like a happy narrative based just on this, however, I'm having problems with someone at work. Catherine Simpson is her name. Catherine is a 24-year-old young employee who works in the same branch and department as me. It is expected of young people to infuse the company with vitality, yet Catherine is the complete opposite. She disturbs the workplace and causes problems for a variety of people. For instance, we met with a client on business during her first year. We decided to meet at the client's office because I had another assignment. However, even though the meeting was scheduled to begin, Catherine failed to appear. I apologized to the client and began the meeting by myself since I was unable to get through to her on her work phone. The pleasant conclusion was about to be reached when Catherine arrived with a lighthearted demeanor. "Excuse me, I suppose I'm running late." She began licking the ice cream cone she was holding. The male employee of the customer looked, of course, incredulous. "Why do you think you're acting that way and arriving late?" He was furious, but Catherine didn't care. "What's making you so angry?" "I was in line to purchase the new smartphone because I wanted it. That explains my tardiness." Naturally, the client rejected such an explanation. "Do you think we're inferior?" He became even more irate. Anyone would typically apologize at this time, but Catherine is not like that. "Wow, you're really mad. Oh, are you interested in this ice cream? I got it from a buzzing store. Absolutely not giving this to you. Slurp, slurp." She provoked the client even more, making him angrier. "I'm terribly sorry. Catherine, go home now," I instructed, pushing the grumbling Catherine out. "I came here to work, and now it's just a trip." Oh. After that, I apologized to the client repeatedly and somehow managed to close the deal. Thinking about it now still makes me sigh. I never want to go through that again. But Catherine never considers others' feelings. She has caused similar troubles multiple times, and there's now a rule that she can't interact with clients. Someone like her should be fired, but Catherine has a powerful ally who protects her from any consequences. That ally is her mother, Yolanda. Yolanda is a department head at the main office and has made significant contributions since she joined, giving her strong influence within the company. Naturally, no one in our branch can oppose her, not even our branch manager, George Miller. Catherine takes advantage of this and causes a fuss every time something happens. I'll tell my mom. Also, it's a problem that Yolanda frequently visits the company under the pretext of inspections. Catherine mainly hinders others, so her work performance is extremely poor. I'd want her parent and boss, Yolanda, to scold her properly. But for some reason, only the surrounding employees get reprimanded. Catherine was a very hard-working student preparing for college exams. If she's not performing, well, it's definitely because of her environment. Yolanda says this loudly. But Catherine didn't study much as a child and failed her college entrance exams. Moreover, during her gap year, she hardly studied at all and was unemployed until she was 22. Yolanda used her influence to get Catherine a job through connections, and now she's become a troublemaker. How do I know all this even though I'm not part of their family? Because Catherine told me. Herself. At the new employee welcome party, Catherine described herself as a hard worker. I've been studying for an hour a day since I was a kid. Well, sometimes you need breaks, so I took 4 days off a week. Catherine said this with confidence, but anyone could meet that 1 hour study time by just doing their homework. An employee who attended a competitive school said it was normal to study for 8 hours a day, on weekends during exam season. Catherine's study habits hardly qualify as hard work. I failed my college entrance exams in my senior year, but I realized that life isn't just about studying. So I tried various things to broaden my horizons. This statement itself is fine, but Catherine enrolled in a voice acting school and quit after 2 months. Then she enrolled in a programming school and dropped out after a month, repeating this pattern of giving up quickly. As a result, time just passed without her gaining any skills. But the trouble part is that Catherine feels she accomplished something. Shortly after joining the company, she said this while fiddling with a computer. I went to a computer school, so difficult tasks are a piece of cake. However, what Catherine was doing was merely calculating totals and averages on a spreadsheet. It's something all employees can do, and nothing to boast about. She feels like she has done a huge job just by creating a simple document. Mission accomplished. Therefore, even if I want to assign her the next task, she runs out of energy and doesn't do anything. Currently, she can only manage to create 3 documents a day, making her work performance the worst by far. She's truly a deadweight employee. But her outrageous behavior doesn't stop there. One day, while I was helping my mother at her flower shop on my day off, Catherine and Yolanda came in together. I had a bad feeling, but I greeted them with a smile. "Welcome," I said. However, Catherine immediately scowled upon seeing me. "You, why are you here?" she snapped. "I came to find flowers for my house, but now I'm in a terrible mood." "Oh, you're the employee ruining everything. Get out." Even Yolanda started hurling insults at me. I was exasperated but decided to treat them courteously as valuable customers. "This is my mother's shop, and I help out on my days off," I explained. But then, Catherine kicked over a bucket of flowers. Yolanda followed suit by smashing a nearby potted plant onto the floor. That plant wasn't for sale, but was a flower my mother had nurtured with care. Why would you do such a thing? I hurriedly stood the bucket upright and rushed to the potted plant, but the floor was soaked and the pot couldn't be restored. Catherine then flashed a malicious grin. A troublesome store like this should just go out of business. I only helped move things in that direction. That's right. I felt Catherine's intent, so I got a bit rough. Afterward, the troublesome duo smugly exchanged remarks about how great mother-daughter power is, but it was a nightmare for us. Moreover, my mother, who had just returned from a flower delivery, saw the state of the shop and was wide-eyed. "Oh, we helped you destroy your store, old hag." "Let's go, Mom," Catherine said. "Yes, Catherine. I don't want flowers from such a shabby store anyway. Let's go somewhere else." "Bye, old hag," Yolanda added. The two left, spewing hateful remarks, leaving my mother and me to clean up the mess. When I explained what had happened, she looked very sad. Of course, she was devastated as the flowers she cherished were damaged. Those people are really something. If they do anything again, we need to come up with a plan, my mother said. I agreed with her, and we decided to install security cameras. However, we unexpectedly had to confront the sun again. One day, I attended a company party held at the headquarters. This party gathers not only headquarters employees, but also those from all branches, with over 1,000 attendees. It's quite a grand event. While only employees can attend, I was allowed to bring my mother. We arrived 2 hours before the scheduled start time, waited for preparations to finish, and then the party began. The company president had generously prepared a buffet with delicious food, and we could eat as much as we wanted. There's nothing more grateful than this. Though my mother is older, she still has a hearty appetite and loves meat. "This is so good," she said, enjoying the roast beef. Seeing her happy face made me very pleased. However, our peaceful mother-daughter time was interrupted by none other than the Simpsons. "Wow, look at those poor folks getting excited over cheap meat," Catherine mocked. "Don't become like that." Such cruel words ruined our mood. I wished they would leave soon, but they didn't. "Isn't this party only for employees? Why are you here?" Yolanda questioned. Catherine added, "There's no place for an old hag here. Go home." Then she swiftly grabbed my mother's plate and smashed it on the floor. "I threw away your cheap meat for you." "Oh, but I guess it's a feast for poor people." "Oh, Catherine, you've grown into such a kind girl," Yolanda mocked. While the staff hurried to clean up, the Simpsons laughed mockingly. That was the last straw for me. Whether she's my boss or her daughter, I'm going to get truly angry, and I'll make her apologize to my mother. I was about to unleash my anger when my mother spoke first. "Catherine, can you call the highest-ranking person in your branch?" This one sentence began the downfall of the Simpsons. Of course, Catherine wasn't going to listen obediently. Calling for the boss, "You're just a complainer. It's embarrassing for an old hag to get all worked up like this," she scoffed. "You're absolutely right. You're so young, yet you understand things so well," Yolanda chimed in, making Catherine think she was right. "Look, complainers should just go home," Catherine added, getting even more brazen. But my mother didn't back down. "Stop joking around and call the branch manager," she said in a commanding tone, not backing down an inch. Her whole demeanor was intimidating, making it clear she wouldn't tolerate any disrespect. Even the usually audacious Catherine seemed taken aback. "Why are you so mad?" "Fine, I'll call him for you," she said. I could easily handle the branch manager anyway. Yolanda, being even more brazen than Catherine, went to call the branch manager. 5 minutes later, the branch manager, George Miller, appeared. He was sweating nervously, visibly trembling at the thought of his employee causing trouble. "I heard that Catherine here did something disrespectful," George said. Actually, when my mother explained the situation, George's face turned pale, and he repeatedly apologized. "I'm deeply sorry. Such rudeness towards you, Helen, is absolutely inexcusable." "What? Why are you apologizing so much? As the branch manager, you should be defending me," Catherine yelled at him. "It's unheard of for a mere employee to act so arrogantly toward the boss." Catherine's attitude was skewed, likely because Yolanda always backed her up. But this situation was bizarre. My mother seemed to notice the oddity too and furrowed her brow. "I've heard some things from my daughter, but Catherine, you're worse than I thought." "Huh. Don't butt in, old hag. Should I smash that glass too?" Catherine got even more aggressive. Meanwhile, George's face grew increasingly pale. "Enough. Helen is one of the founding contributors to our branch." "Huh. What's that supposed to mean?" Catherine looked puzzled, as if she couldn't follow the conversation. "How could an old hag like her establish a company?" Catherine mocked. "Stop being so disrespectful." George interrupted. He began to explain. "Our company started as a small business in a single room. When Helen joined, our performance skyrocketed. She worked tirelessly as the first branch manager to establish this branch." "Wow, was she really that amazing?" Catherine's mouth dropped open as she looked at my mother. Her face was so comically surprised that I almost laughed. That was over 40 years ago. After working at the company until retirement, I left and now run a flower shop. I have little to do with the company now. However, in recognition of her great contributions, we send her an invitation to the company party every year. She couldn't attend for the past few years, but this year she made it. And yet here we are with this commotion. Even the usually calm George glared at Catherine. This time, George had also accumulated considerable experience. When truly angry, he could be quite intimidating. I'm the daughter of a headquarters manager. Do you really think you can treat me this way? Catherine retorted, though her fear was evident. But it seemed that wouldn't work this time. Don't bring me into this. Now apologize quickly. Yolanda, her last hope, was now cowering and urging her to apologize. Helen is a legendary employee, so even the top executives at headquarters are mindful of her. Plus, it's basic human decency to apologize when you've been rude. You were just causing a scene with me a moment ago. What was that all about? Seeing her mother suddenly change her tune, Catherine was flustered. My mother and I were equally shocked by Yolanda's sudden shift, but she nervously approached my mother with a forced smile. Oh, you must be Helen. I think I saw you at a company party years ago, but you look a bit different, almost like someone else. Are you trying to say I've aged? How kind of you. My mother was clearly annoyed by Yolanda's poor excuse for an apology. Stop saying such nonsense and apologize properly. It's basic human decency, right? Yes, you're right. I am very sorry. Yolanda quickly apologized, but Catherine was clearly not satisfied with this outcome. Mom, you're apologizing too easily. I don't care if she was a legendary employee. She's just an old hag now, Catherine muttered. Though Catherine's words were extremely rude, they also reflected my own curiosity. Did something happen between you and my mother in the past, Yolanda? You seem quite scared of her. No, not at all. Yolanda tried to evade. But my mother seemed to have realized something. Were you the employee who broke the vase? Huh. I don't know anything about the pink vase. Seeing Yolanda's startled reaction, I was convinced my mother was right. How did you know it was pink? My mother didn't mention the color. Oh well, I just thought Helen might like pink, so I guessed. Yolanda offered a flimsy excuse, which was obviously unconvincing. This tendency to make excuses confirmed you were the one who broke the vase, my mother asserted and began to recount the vase incident. Years ago, when I was still working at the company, a young Yolanda got drunk at a party. It was my birthday party, and she shouted, "I don't care about the old lady's birthday," and broke the pink vase I got as a present. That's terrible behavior for an adult. I looked at Yolanda with disdain, and my mother sighed deeply. That night, Yolanda was too drunk to have a conversation, so we sent her home. She came to apologize the next day, but all she did was make excuses, which only made me angrier. I'm terribly sorry about that, Yolanda said, her tone laced with insincerity. Helen scolded me so harshly back then that I even had nightmares about it. To be net scared and yet forget about my mother, I must have looked utterly exasperated. Yolanda, sensing my glare, awkwardly spoke up. I did compensate for the vase, so let's just drop this topic. Oh, Mom, that's so lame. I didn't know you'd change your stance so easily, Catherine muttered, making Yolanda glare at her. After all I've done to protect you, this is what I get. Yolanda snapped. Huh, isn't that what parents are supposed to do? They love their kids more than anything, so it's only natural, Catherine retorted. What an odd, audacious statement. Even though Catherine was outlandish, I thought she had some love for her mother. After all, Yolanda had always protected her, and they seemed close. I assumed she had some gratitude, but clearly she was beyond that in a bad way. Of course, while I stood there stunned, Yolanda began to genuinely get angry. You think that way? I never thought you'd be so ungrateful. Like I said, it's just what parents do. I can't feel gratitude, Catherine scoffed. Think about all the hard work I put in raising you. It wasn't easy. Catherine is indeed a selfish person who still relies on her parents. Living with someone like her for years must have been exhausting. You were neither good at studying nor sports, and you caused trouble at school. Think about how embarrassing that was for me. Yolanda was speaking passionately, with no sign of stopping. Even after high school, I spent money sending you to various places, but nothing lasted. So, I had to use connections to get you a job. You owe me for all the money I spent, Yolanda finally said. Catherine turned red with anger. Shut up. If you're going to say that, I don't need you anymore. I can live on my own, Catherine retorted. Fine then, get out of my house. In the end, Catherine and Yolanda argued and stormed off in different directions. George later promised to properly apologize and take disciplinary action. But my mother and I were just left, exasperated by the Simpsons. Following George's orders, the Simpsons were removed from the venue, and the party ended on a high note. However, I sincerely hope to never spend time with them again. A week later, my mother and I visited a regional branch. This branch is known for its strict work environment, and we were here to meet someone. On our way to the meeting area, we heard a scream. The next moment, a door burst open, and Catherine ran out, hiding behind me. I can't stand anymore. Stop that man, please, she shouted, pointing to where she came from. A tall man, over 6 feet, emerged. Well, if it isn't Andrew. This was Andrew Garfield, a manager at this regional branch. He used to work at my branch, and we got along well. He's a person with guts, bringing energy and support to the department. Diana and Helen, isn't it? Thank you so much for coming all this way. I apologize for any inconvenience or mess you may have encountered. What happened? I asked. Catherine ran away crying. When I asked for an explanation, Catherine started to cry loudly. Andrew is scary, she sobbed. But Andrew isn't the type to push someone without a reason. I figured Catherine must have done something, so I decided to hear the details in the meeting room. Catherine had been transferred to this regional branch the day after the company party. This place is known for reassigning problematic employees, so Catherine came here for re-education. Being forced to move is so annoying, Catherine grumbled. But she had been given special treatment all this time, so she had no right to complain. She should have been transferred much earlier, but it only happened now because Yolanda's protection was gone. After a week, it was assumed the chaos of the move would settle down, and we planned to receive a proper apology from her. However, we were greeted with this mess instead. Actually, I told her to prepare some documents on the computer and make copies, but she snuck out to a nearby corner. When I scolded her, she started crying and ran to you for help. It's clearly Catherine's fault, Andrew explained. I sighed, and Catherine cried even harder. My salary is down, and I have no motivation. Plus, this place is in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing fun around here, she whined. You're in no position to complain. You should be grateful to still have a job. You could have been fired long ago, Andrew replied. Catherine responded to Andrew's anger by saying, I'm quitting. I can't do this anymore. The company wouldn't miss you. You're a burden here. I couldn't help but speak my mind. Andrew nodded. You're right. This place is for employees with no other options. If you can't put in the effort here, you should quit. That's so harsh, Catherine exclaimed. I don't want to stay here, but being told so bluntly that I'm not wanted is still hurtful. Catherine's reaction was complex but still annoying. Stop babbling and decide. Quit or work hard, my mother snapped, losing patience. Reluctantly, Catherine said, I'll quit. So it was decided she would quit. Even Andrew, known for handling difficult cases, gave up on her, so it was the best decision. Before you go, apologize for the incident at the party, Andrew prompted. Catherine reluctantly apologized. I'm sorry. Since we couldn't expect a better apology, my mother and I decided to leave it at that. As we headed home, we talked about how awful The Simpsons were. 10 days later, my mother and I were working at the flower shop when suddenly a duo wearing masks burst in. Give us the money. If you resist, you'll regret it, they shouted. Even though they tried to disguise their voices, it was clear they were women. Both my mother and I were startled by the sudden intrusion. This store has security cameras. I'll call the police now, I said. As soon as I said this, they started to panic. Wait, what is that? Is calling the police allowed? Isn't that against the rules? Hearing their voices, I immediately recognized who they were. You two are the Simpsons, aren't you? Your voices are back to normal. As soon as I said that, the two who looked like the Simpsons panicked even more. I was probably right. Oh no. What do we do, Mom? Yolanda said. Don't call me Mom. They'll figure it out. The one who sounded like Yolanda scolded the one who sounded like Catherine, confirming they were indeed the Simpsons. Are you here for money or just to mess with us? I asked. Catherine responded, Sure, we want money, but making you uncomfortable is enough. But you should still give us $100. It's only polite. Yolanda added nonsensically, But I don't want to give even a penny to people who come wearing masks. While this idiotic conversation was happening, my mother appeared. I called the police from the staff phone. The station is nearby, so they'll be here soon. Upon hearing this, Catherine and Yolanda started to freak out. We need to run. We need to run, they said in unison, opening the door only to find 6 passers-by gathered there. This area is fairly busy, and people were bound to notice 2 masked individuals causing a commotion. Hey, they're criminals. Don't let them get away, someone shouted. We'll hold them down. 2 young men entered the store and restrained the Simpsons. Oh no. Help, Mom. The Simpsons cried out pathetically. But other passers-by joined in, and they were quickly subdued. The police arrived shortly after, and they were promptly taken away in a police car. The Simpsons told the police the same motive they had told me earlier. After Catherine was fired, she ran back to Yolanda in tears because Yolanda caused such a scene at the company party, which had a gathering of 1,000 people. She was demoted and eventually resigned. Lost and unsure what to do, they had been hiding at home. The company had been trying to contact them for an apology, but they ignored all communication. Having nowhere to go, they reconciled and decided to stick together. They irrationally blamed my mother and me for their downfall and attempted this foolish crime. We thought we could get some money and leave after a quick scare, but we stayed too long and things got out of hand. We are truly sorry. Catherine and Yolanda came to the store later and apologized. There were no damages, and they seemed genuinely remorseful, so they were let off with a stern warning. However, we still felt nothing but disdain for them. This is all your fault. Stop blaming others and running away. Don't interfere with Diana's life. You're banned from this store. When my mother and I said this, the Simpsons apologized in unison. We are very sorry. We are very sorry. Diana works at the same company as I did, but she passed the entrance exam on her own, without my help. She's been working hard without relying on me. Catherine and Yolanda, it's time for you to be independent. My mother's stern words gave me the courage to speak my mind. Catherine and Yolanda, you are both too selfish. From now on, stop blaming others and learn to stand on your own. Otherwise, you'll remain unhappy. Yes, yes, they responded meekly and left with their heads hung low. Finally, peace returned to our lives. 2 months later, I was walking near a park and saw the Simpsons arguing loudly. You're not my mother. Go wherever you want. Fine, you can't live on your own anyway. They shouted at each other. We're practically homeless. Why don't we have any money? Oh, right, you spend it all on brand-name goods. Those were rewards for myself. I spent money on your education. They were clearly arguing over money, as indicated by the statements implying a lack of funds. As I thought, how disruptive they were. 3 rough-looking young men started yelling at them. Hey, shut up. Sorry. The Simpsons fled in fear, but the young men pursued them. Don't run away. The young one's kind of cute. I'd like her to be my girlfriend, one of the young men said. This made me wonder what would happen if they couldn't escape. But if I helped them, they'd probably ask for money, so I quickly left the park and went home. Meanwhile, I continued working at the company. Recently, I was promoted to department manager in recognition of my achievements. Even though it's at the branch level, my salary has significantly increased. With Catherine and Yolanda gone, work has become much easier and more enjoyable. George, our branch manager, no longer gives special treatment to any employee and maintains proper discipline within the office. With the troublemakers gone, he's visibly happier. My mother still runs her flower shop and seems as happy as ever, surrounded by flowers. Oh, this flower is about to bloom. It's going to be beautiful. Seeing my mother's joy fills me with happiness too. It's an ordinary scene, but I hope this simple happiness lasts for a long time as I continue living my life.